Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, what's up? How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, you guys are having a wonderful Saturday.
Sunday.
Oh man, it's Sunday. I'm losing my mind.
Shows where he is
My mind's not here at all.
in the past.
Well, that's why last week I wasn't here, right? I was in the past, and I was taking a few days for myself.
And it
Once
feels
in a
like
blue
you're
moon.
still there.
I wish I still was there.
There you are.
I can tell you one thing: the air over there is completely different than over here. It's mental.
And it's interesting when we talk about being mindful, because being mindful is actually in the moment. But if you're wanting to be in the past, which is a good thing, like that was a great experience, right?
Yeah.
Brings you joy, but it still brings you sadness as well.
Yeah, because I'm not there anymore.
Exactly.
So today we're going to be talking about, we're going to continue with the organs. We have a few more to touch on. Today we're going to be talking about the pancreas. So what is the pancreas? No idea?
Apparently, it's over here.
So the pancreas is actually, I was actually having a discussion with my osteopath where I always thought the pancreas is only on the left side, but it's actually in the middle and it just stems to the left side. So we always say that it's on the left side.
So it's long.
It's pretty long. It's
So
long enough.
Here.
It's not. No. It's not completely over there. It's about middle to here, but it's not. It's not the longest organ. It's a small little organ, but it's very important.
But like you say small, but if we took it out of the body and stretch it out, is it the same thing like the stomach?
That I can't tell you 100%, but I don't think so.
See?
No.
It's good to ask questions.
Yeah.
And have curiosity.
I
Just
wouldn't
don't
say,
pull it out of your stomach though.
It's very important to the pancreas. And why is it important? It's because it digests your. It's one of the main digestive organs, and a lot of people neglect the pancreas a lot. Its main digestive enzymes is to digest the proteins, fats, and carbs. So a lot of people that can't digest their fats, their carbs, their carbs, fats, and proteins. I always forget the proteins. If they can't digest properly, they feel like they're stuck in their gut after eating, or even during eating, but mostly after eating. It's mainly because they can't digest. They don't have the proper enzymes for it. So as simple as increasing your enzymes for the pancreas would be sufficient. You can't get that through foods, really. You would have to just supplement with it. There are vegetable, I'm thinking the word of French, végétal, veggie caps, I guess you could call, that are digestive enzymes for the pancreas. And then you have as well animal pancreatic enzymes, and that's our better suited enzymes for the body, to be honest, because it resembles the human body's pancreas.
That's the same idea as eating liver to help your own liver.
Yeah, same. Yeah, actually, a very, very good point. Very true. Yes. And I was saying that also
It does something very important in your body.
it stocks. I'm saying it in French. It stores. Ça stocke et libère.
Quebec!
This week I've been doing a lot of French and English because I was teaching, so I'm going to be going back and forth. It liberates and stores the hormones, and it works in conjunction with the liver by working with the glucose or secreting glucose and holding on or creating insulin as well.
So to make it more simple, because I want to understand too, are you saying that the liver takes care of the insulin, which breaks
Yeah.
down the food?
Yeah. So what happens? Okay, we'll break it down just quick. The insulin, it's manufactured mainly in the liver because it is specific. It's also known as a hormone. So yes, it has a role to do with your sugar levels and whatnot, and so does your glucose. But when we look at blood work and stuff, it's the insulin we look at first. The insulin indicates what's going on with the diabetes, insulin resistance, and stuff like that. So that's the first marker we look at, as well as the glucose. The thing is that insulin is a hormone, and it's produced in the liver mainly because the liver produces the hormones every 4 hours. Right?
You
So
know-
we spoke about that last time.
I think we should totally go a bit more into those hormones, because the more I understand hormones in the way that the deodorant causes hormonal issues, that's why you can't give it to kids. women, when they have their period, they're having an imbalancement of hormone, or they're like kind of releasing it, but if it's not released properly, it can cause other issues. Hence why when they give birth, a lot of women are close to having postpartum because there's an emotional irregularity. So the pancreas really helps with making sure, because you said how the liver does hormonal things.
It creates the hormones.
But the pancreas is what helps with the glucose to ensure
There's a
balance of it.
Yeah. So basically, what happens is your insulin. If we think of it, we think of it as an anabolic hormone. So anabolic means it creates tissues, it builds tissues, builds muscles. So what it does, the insulin, when you're eating and whatnot, it takes in the nutrients, or it breaks down the nutrients, takes in the nutrients, and brings it to the cells. That's its main job. So when we become insulin resistant, it's because the body doesn't know there's too much sugars that we ingest. So the body doesn't know what to do with all the insulin, all the sugar, because like it or not, no matter what we eat, turns into sugar, turns into fuel.
And then glucose is confused into which one to grab.
Yeah.
There
Or
you
the
go.
insulin is confused with which one to grab. Or it doesn't know where to bring it. So what happens is there's an overload of insulin. Then we become insulin resistant because the body, what it has to do is store the insulin as fat after. We need it as our reserves for the future. Now the problem with this is that when we store it for the future, we don't stop having sugars, right? We're always continuously eating sugars. So the sugar and the insulin just keep piling up.
And glucose helps in.
And glucose helps bring in or balance of the sugar levels and whatnot. It's the glucose is what gives us the energy. So glucose gives us the energy. It's the main combustion for the cells.
And then
but the insulin brings the nutrients to the cells.
But if the glucose is confused as well, it doesn't know where to go.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll go into the wrong type of sugar.
No, well, rephrase that. The glucose won't know what to do because it won't give the proper amount of energy. And this is where we get a dip of energy after having too much sugar. So there could be
Food comas are not good.
Yeah, exactly. There could be a spike. There could be a spike in sugars, which sometimes having too much sugar, you get that energy high and then a drop. So that's what the spike is. Or you get a drop of energy, especially after eating. It's because you're not digesting your foods properly, first of all, but it's also because the sugar levels you weren't able to assimilate them properly, and you get a crash of energy.
And that's why
where the
pancreas is so important.
Yes, very. It also controls. The glucagon is the glucose. So the thing is that I think it was a couple of podcasts ago where we said most of your digestion stems from the mouth, right? There's 50% of the digestion stems from the mouth. Now the main hormone, enzyme that's produced in the mouth is amylase.
Oh.
Amylase is what breaks down your carbs. So lipase is your lipase. There's lipase, amylase, protease.
So many words for the same thing.
No, not the same thing. For the same function.
Function.
So it breaks down, but it's because each of these enzymes have a specific role, and your lipase enzyme breaks down your lipids, right? So LL. The only one that's different is your amylase. Amylase is your amylase. That's what breaks down your glucose or your carbs, and then protease. Protease breaks down your proteins. So the one that stems in the mouth, the first salivary enzyme stems with the amylase, and that's why we say 50% of digestion starts in the mouth. Now, what happens if you have metal in your mouth? All that
Metal poisoning.
pretty much, literally. Because what happens is you're breaking down the foods you're chewing, but all that metal gets binded or attached to your enzymes, and then you're swallowing in all those enzymes.
And that's where it goes into all these other organs.
And that's what disrupts the organs. That's what disrupts the hormones. So for anybody that has any metals in your mouth, try metal fillings. Try and switch them for a composite. Or if you have the wire behind your mouth and after braces, which for me, I ended up taking them out because they were an endocrine disruptor, nervous system disruptor, and it was actually messing up with my pancreas. I tested that myself, and I've seen that. So once I got off that, it was just easier for things to let things go.
Would you say that eating too much mercury in fish can cause a big issue for your pancreas?
Yeah, so you want to have maybe not so much your pancreas because now you're talking a little more specifics. You any heavy metal, any toxicity whatsoever will disrupt the whole body as such a system. And you don't forget when we spoke about the liver being its main detox, the main process of the body. The liver is going to digest your heavy metals before your pancreas.
Oh.
So the heavy metals, if anything, will disrupt more the liver before the pancreas.
Okay.
So it's the liver that's going to protect the body.
Okay.
So think of that.
So we'd say that the pancreas is the second line of defense.
No, because now you're thinking line of defense means the immune system.
Ah.
So you don't
confuse it.
confuse that. Yeah, it's not a defense mechanism. It's just really in the digestive system.
Okay.
So what's the? I don't want
So
to.
it's a domino effect.
Yeah, exactly. But
Liver first, and if liver's not good, pancreas is next.
to digest, yes. So what's the main or the worst? I don't want to use the word there, but what's the worst cancer to possibly have?
Oh, pancreas cancer.
Pancreatic cancer.
I've heard that so many times.
And
actually.
why?
Well, based on what I'm understanding, it doesn't take care of the glucose properly.
Mm-hmm.
And if the glucose is not taken care of properly, then the sugars don't go where they need to go.
Exactly. So the body doesn't have enough energy, right?
And that's where sugar is. It's energy for the body.
Yeah. And so the problem,
So wait a minute. The pancreas is like the navigating system.
you could think so.
Ah.
We could think that.
Interesting.
Navigating system for energy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it won't go to the right place.
So the reason for that also is that you're killing your cells faster, right? So you got no energy in your cells. The cells are oxidizing even faster. So that means they're shrinking faster. So it spreads much quicker because the body's trying to
Learning. Nice. That's my face right now.
fight. Yeah. So there's a lot of things that you could look at with the liver, right? With the pancreas. Sorry.
Wow.
You could also look in terms of emotions. So the main emotion related to the pancreas is worry, insecurity of money, insecurity of the future. So you're always worrying about something.
Makes sense.
So this is pretty much anybody that walks into my office, there's always an insecurity or worry about something. Probably because of with everything going on in the world, nobody has confidence anymore.
And like driving a car, if you become super worried that your GPS is not telling you where you're going properly, you're gonna crash.
And you get the stress levels that go up even higher, right?
Exactly.
So the more we worry, the more we weaken our immune system, the more we weaken our pancreas, the more we weaken the more we elevate our stress levels as a whole.
Making your energy not know where to go.
Yeah, and you're always in that fight or flight mode, right?
Makes
So
sense.
that's where the
Sorry,
pancreas
makes dollars.
makes dollars. Exactly. Yeah, we know a lot about that, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So
He's mentioning dad jokes I say all the time.
So again, the best thing to do, if you don't want to have supplements, you could always go with some teas. A good mixture of tea for boosting the enzymes in the body would be
The pancreas.
the pancreas specifically, yes. So you got curcumin, so that's turmeric. You could put ginger with it, coriander, and there's one more that I forgot. But
I like
onion.
ginger.
Onion.
Oh, onion. Onion as a tea.
Put them all together.
Does it make you cry?
No, actually, but a good trick about that, if you run your onion under cold water, you won't cry.
Oh,
There you go. There's a trick for everybody.
interesting.
Sunday
Cold
tri-
water.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nunna's trick. And it actually works.
They have a lot of good tricks.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they usually took care of the kids. Tricks are for kids.
Here it comes with all the dad jokes.
I'm on a roll.
All right. We gotta laugh a bit. It's Sunday. Yeah, not Saturday. It's Sunday. So I think that's pretty much it for the pancreas. It's very important. Don't neglect it. A lot of people with diabetes, they forget about the pancreas. Yeah, sure. Just take an insulin pill, or here you go. Here's some glucose. Yeah, or your sugars are too low. Well, just have a bit of glucose. Have some fruits. Have some jujubes. You know.
That's
No.
a good voice right there.
No, fix what you gotta fix. Fix your digestion first. If you can't digest something, you're never gonna absorb what you. So this is my saying: you only absorb what you could digest. That's the best way you can think of it. So if your pancreas is off, you're not digesting any of your fats, proteins, or carbs. If your gallbladder is off, well, you're not going to assimilate your fats properly to flush them into your small intestine, so your small intestine can work and be fluid as properly as it should be. And if you can't digest your proteins or your minerals properly, well, your stomach is off, then your acidity is off, then it causes more problems like bacteria and whatnot.
And I think the very important message that Anthony especially is trying to say is that doctors are not bad. It's just that doctors, you know what, it comes down to this. Do you want a Band-Aid effect or do you want a real solution? Do you want the surgery? And if you really come down to the pills that are given compared to minerals and vitamins and all the nutrients you're supposed to have every day, that's made us live for over
5,000 plus years.
10,000 plus years, because let's be honest, the Egyptian pyramids, you know. It really comes down to that, because a solution should never be a Band-Aid effect.
No.
You'll feel good for what? 2 weeks, and then you're back where you just started. That's not good.
We want to try and go to the root of the problem. So instead of, like Chris is saying, patch the situation with just giving the glucose, but you're not actually fixing the underlying problem, you're always going to have a problem with your glucose, and your body's never going to know what to do with the actual sugars that it's supposed to digest properly.
So, and after all the organs, we are going to talk about life coaching in the way of habits and changing habits, because making this a part of your everyday is truly important.
Yep.
You have organs. It's how you function.
Yep.
Learning about all these organs is very important because it will get you to understand what it needs. If you drive a car, you know the car needs a change of oil every 7,000 to 10,000 kilometers. It needs to be done. Sorry?
Depends,
yeah, sure. But the point is, you got to do it.
Yeah.
Same thing with your organs. You got to take care of it. You got to eat the right stuff.
Fuel them and oil them up properly.
And you got to make it part of your habit, everyday habit. Because let's be honest, what they really want us to do is this all day.
And then you don't see what's in front of you.
When are we eating junk food?
Pretty much. And by the way, it's been known that cell phones and radiation, but Wi-Fi and whatnot, does elevate your need or your want for junk food.
Interesting.
So that's another thing. The more junk food you have, the more non-refined sugars you have, and the more you mess up your...
I like what you said. Non-refined sugars.
No, you are eating refined sugars. That's what I meant. You don't want you don't want to have refined sugars.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I messed up.
Because sometimes we're like, sugar is bad for you. But wait a minute, there's different types.
Yep.
And I think that's important because you have to differentiate.
We could go a whole... Actually, that's a good one too. We could do a whole podcast just on sugar. There's so much information on sugar. Just the fact that...
The dad jokes are beginning in my head.
Sugar, baby. Just because you have fructose, example, which is from your fruits, this isn't everybody, but most people only could digest 50 grams of fructose a day. That's what your cells and your muscles can absorb. So it's nice to have fructose, or fruits, but how much fruits are you actually having throughout the day? And every fruit has its own different limits or different amounts of fructose.
And that's why eating one apple a day or a week is okay, because you got what you needed and you'll need it again.
Yeah.
But if you eat too much of it all the time, well, you're confusing your body, right?
Pretty much. And eating something too much for too long can actually create an allergy. That's another thing to think of. And that raises your inflammation, and that raises your insulin.
There you
and
go.
Cortisol. So it's everything to say is everything's related. So don't just look at one part of the problem and look at everything as a global problem. Like I always say, and when we teach, we have 4 pillars. We have the emotions first, your energy, your biochemistry, and then your physical. So you want to look at all 4 pillars when looking at specific parts of the body.
Alrighty then.
On that note, enjoy the rest of your day.
Sunday!
Sunday.
Not Saturday.
No.